Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Janine Samuels.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thanks for joining us. A public viewing continues at this hour for the first African-American lawmaker to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Congressman Elijah Cummings, congressional leaders, and colleagues filled the hall to pay their respects to Cummings, who had served in Congress since 1996. He was remembered as a leader and fierce advocate for the people he represented in the 7th Congressional District. Among those paying tribute today, Congressman Mark Meadows and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Elijah was truly a master of the House. He respected its history, and in it, he helped shape America's future. I have called him our North Star, our guide to a better future for our children.
He's called a number of things, father, husband, friend, chairman. For me, I was privileged enough to be able to call him a dear friend.
Cummings' funeral is scheduled for tomorrow at New Psalmist Church in Baltimore. Among the speakers will be former President Barack Obama and Bill Clinton.
A major political change of guard in Maryland as the Senate's longtime president steps down due to health concerns, and his successor is chosen by Democrats. Patricia Vallone was in Annapolis for the big announcement.
My mind is still strong, but my body is weak.
He's the country's longest-serving state Senate president, but Mike Miller says now is the time to step down. The 76-year-old will end his 3-decade-long tenure because he says his battle with cancer has sapped his energy.
I have a cancer. I have metastasized to the bone. It hasn't grown in the last 6 months, but I suffer from anemia. I suffer from fatigue, and this is a full-time job. It's a statewide job.
Although Miller has been battling a very aggressive form of prostate cancer, he says he will continue to serve as senator in his district, which covers Prince George's, Charles, and Calvert counties.
And the fact that he's going to stay on as a senator, which is terrific from the Prince George's County point of view. He's going to have more time to work on Prince George's County things. So I think just from Prince George's point of view, him staying in the Senate is a real plus.
Meantime, his successor, 36-year-old Bill Ferguson of Baltimore City, was named in a closed-door caucus meeting this morning.
There is no one that can replace Mike Miller. And what was clear over the last few months as this transition seemed more likely is that the only way that we will move forward is if we maximize the skills and talent of each of the 47 members of the Maryland Senate. And that is what will happen moving forward.
Senator Doug Peters was initially thought to be a contender in the race, but ultimately the caucus voted unanimously for Ferguson.
I thought the next best person who had a vision for the state, who was looking forward, who was transformational, not simply transactional, it was Bill. He's one of the strongest cheerleaders to make sure Kerwin becomes a reality, along with myself. So I think we've been in league together on a lot of the issues in front of us.
Many see the change in leadership as a shift toward more progressive politics, especially regarding education and the environment. A formal vote by the full Senate takes place when the session starts in January. From Annapolis, Patricia Vallone, CTV News.
The House also recently changed leadership. It was just over 5 months ago when Adrienne Jones emerged as the compromise candidate during a contentious special session. Jones is the first African-American and woman to serve as Speaker. She succeeded Michael Bush, Maryland's longest-serving Speaker. He died April 7th, one day before the end of the last legislative session. Meantime, County Executive Angela Also-Brooks is calling it a somber day after hearing Senate President Mike Miller is stepping down. Also-Brooks has known Miller for more than 20 years. She says she was a friend with his daughter, who was a fellow prosecutor, and she saw him advocate for his clients. We spoke to Also-Brooks about the legacy that Miller leaves behind.
Grown in respect for him, especially in the area of education, where he's a staunch advocate for education for all of our children. And so we've enjoyed, especially over the last year, working together as county executive to bring home every dollar that our children deserve in education. And so he will be missed in that position.
Miller is the longest-serving Senate president in Maryland.
The attorney who represented Freddie Gray now represents the county man who became paralyzed from the waist down during a recent arrest. William Murphy has been hired to represent 24-year-old DeMonte Ward Blake. This is the video shot by Ward Blake's girlfriend. It shows him on the ground following the incident. Ward Blake is still in the hospital. Murphy and his firm negotiated a $6.4 million settlement with Baltimore City following Gray's death.
A U.S. Naval Academy midshipman has been charged with sexually assaulting sleeping female classmates. Investigators say Nixon Kiego broke into the dorm rooms of female midshipmen in 4 separate incidents, 3 last year, 1 in May of 2019. A court-martial is scheduled for January.